Right, looking live at a court in New York where today Sean Diddy Combs is set to be sentenced for federal convictions on 2 prostitution-related charges. Combs has been jailed in a detention facility in Brooklyn since his arrest in September of last year. He's facing up to 10 years in prison for each count of transportation to engage in prostitution. A jury in July acquitted Combs of racketeering conspiracy and sex trafficking charges, allowing him to avoid a possible life sentence. With me now is a former federal prosecutor, Neama Rahmani. He's the president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. Neama, good morning and thank you for your time. Sean Diddy Combs is set to be sentenced today. As we know, he's been found guilty on 2 counts of transportation or prostitution. What are you expecting to see in the court?
I expect to see 3 sets of recommendations. The first is the government. They're recommending 11 years in prison. And the defense, of course, is recommending 14 months. That's essentially time served with credit for good behavior. And U.S. probation, which is an arm of the court, they're going to make their own recommendation, and they're recommending 5 to 7 years. So really, you're seeing a very broad spectrum of different recommendations, more than a decade to time served. And we're also going to expect to hear from the victims in the case, Cassie Ventura, Mia, Jane, but importantly, from Sean Diddy Combs himself. He did submit a letter to the judge yesterday evening at the 11th hour, essentially apologizing for his actions. So if he says the same in court as well, that may go a long way to acceptance of responsibility, in this case, in mitigation. Of course, that may make it more difficult for him to appeal if he's admitting that he did indeed engage in prostitution.
And that is complicated because we're going to be seeing how that plays out in terms of what he has said in the letter. He's seeking for leniency, for a second chance, etc. How much that can really, change the way the outcome may be?
That's something that judges look for, someone that shows remorse, regret, apologizes to the victims. If Combs comes out and doesn't say anything, well, that's the potential of him getting slammed. The judge might say, well, look, at a minimum, we've all seen the video of you beating your ex-girlfriend, Cassie. I mean, that can't be denied. So if you're going to come into court and refuse to accept anything and still argue that the prostitution that you engaged in wasn't prostitution at all because you didn't participate in the sex acts, it was voyeurism, or that it was actually homemade pornography because you were filming those sex acts, the judge might be less inclined to give him any type of break.
Is there a possibility that Combs may not serve any additional time?
It's certainly possible, and the defense is asking for that time served. But I think it was telling that the judge in the case, Judge Subramanian, refused to grant bond even after Combs was acquitted of the more serious racketeering and sex trafficking charges. This is reading the tea leaves a bit, but that leads me to believe that the judge is going to impose some sort of custodial sentence. I don't think it'll be anywhere near the 11 years that the prosecution is recommending, but maybe somewhere along the line of 4 to 5 years.
All right. Neama Rahmani, former federal prosecutor and the president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers. Thank you for these comments. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.